Welcome back to another Yugi local vlogs where it's the day after the ban list and only one card got hit for me. So as I'm recording this, I'm recording this Sunday the 1st, so the ban list hasn't really gone into effect. So this will be the last locals for me to play in this current format before things change. And so the only hit that I have for Galaxy Eyes is Apollosa going to 0. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take Appaloosa out of the deck. I never really went into it in the first place. So, yeah, I'm also thinking of changing up the deck a little bit because, the past 2 weeks, I've been going 1-3. And the main issue is bricks. I keep bricking a lot and I just can't do much. So that's basically what we're going to do. So, with that being said, let's have a quick gander at what list I'm currently running.
Okay, so this is the current list that I am playing before I make any changes. And now it's time for me to actually flip through my binder and see what I have that I might actually want to add into the deck. And that's basically what I'm doing, pulling out some Nebula Dragons here, because I think I might want to, put that in. Maybe another copy, the final copy of Galaxy 100, I might decide to run that back at 3. I thought of adding back in the Photon Vanishers, but I thought no. I'd take out the two hand traps there, Ghost Mourner, Moonlit Shield, try Numbers Lost Hope, and also Spooky Dogwood as well. Um, I was reading Starliege Paladinimino, whatever his name is, and thought about it, and it has a decent enough effect, not great. Taking out the Boral Sword Dragon as a potential replacement for Apollosa, as well as Cross Sheep and Foolish Burial.
Okay, so here's what I've cut from the main deck. I've cut Galaxy Cleric, um, I have cut Photon Orbital, so that's now down to 1, and I've cut Photon Dragon from 3 to 2, as I'll just see how that plays out. So I also cut one card, but I put that into the side deck. So I cut 4 cards out of the main deck, and what I'm replacing them with is Foolish Burial as an extra way to dump, Photon Jumper or Photon Lord if needs be. Numbers Last Hope, I'll try that back into the deck, as well as 2 Nebula Dragons, because one thing I noticed last week was one of my opening hands had 2 of this guy in it, which I had no way to get 2 monsters with 2000 attack on the field. So they were just dead cards. So by putting Nebula Dragons back in, I can reveal it and special summon it plus this, and that's 2 level 8s, and then there we go. It also has other effects as well. So it could be I played it already in the deck, so we'll see how things go. So those 4 will make their way into the main deck. Now for the extra deck, I decided that I will be adding Cross Sheep in replacing Apollosa because I make one of my XC plays, and then my opponent loses 700 attack on all their monsters currently on the field. So, I have seen some lists play this, so that will be making its way into the extra deck. I have made some changes to the side, 3 changes to be exact. I have now added in my one and only copy of Ghost Sister and Spooky Dogwood. I'm going to hope to pick up some more today. If I can, then I'll probably will side it in before the event. Ghost Mourner and Moonlit Shield, and I put the Call by the Grave into the side deck because it's only really ever come up once. And so that is all of the changes. So yeah, I'm pretty sure this will be fine. I think for as well, I might try not siding as much because that's one thing that I took away from, from round one, match one last week, where for those 3 matches, I didn't side once, and I still managed to take it down. So, and that's one thing that I have noticed is when I side, that's when I start to brick. So I might try that for depending on how many rounds of locals we have. More than likely, will still be 4. So yeah, I've got about 3.5 hours left to kill. Well, I say 3.5. It's two until I get my bus up, and then I'll just need to get a drink and stuff. So yeah, now I'm just going to put these cards back into the binder and go back downstairs, relax for a bit, and then when it gets time for locals, I'll come back up and pack everything up to be able to go. Okay, so it's 2:45, and the bus that I was supposed to be getting, really, really soon is cancelled. So I think what I'm going to do is going to walk into town. So I'm going to get ready to head now. Because I'll walk into town, because I'm not going to wait the half hour for the next bus. And because it takes me about 17 minutes to get into town anyway. And that way I can, get a drink, get a snack or something, and then walk up the hill to get to locals for about 4 ish. I think that's what's going to be the plan. So we'll get ready, leave about 10 past 3. Should give me enough time. Hopefully, should give me enough time. Yeah, probably should. Okay, so let's pack up the bag. I am bringing my binder, of course. I'm only going to bring one with me. That is the tripod that I'm currently using. I'm also bringing my bag of dice, Galaxy Eyes as a deck. I think I'll just bring the calculator just to have on hand so I can quickly calculate damage since this will be filming. And lastly is the playmat, and then of course the tripod. So yeah, then that's that. I think I'm ready to go now. Well, once I put on shoes and a hoodie and feed my cat, then I'm good to go. Okay, so I probably forgot to also mention that I am going to this local stag. None of my friends are coming this time due to some slight miscommunication, where two of my friends just did not know how to read, and yeah. So that's my kitten Oliver screaming at me for food. So I'm gonna go feed him and then finish off getting ready. And there he is eating away, like the good boy he is. Ain't that right, Ollie Wally? I think I'll leave him alone now. Okay, so I just finished my round, and I'm already X1 against Tenpai. So let's go over to the footage to see how that went. Spoiler alert, fun duel, but I got screwed over at game 2.
Round 1, I'm paired with the same person who I lost to last week, when he was on Red Dragon Synchro. This week, I don't know what he's playing. He did offer to tell me, but I wanted it to be a surprise. I won the die roll and chose to go second. My opening hand is Double Galaxy 100, Ash, Photon Delta Wing, and Photon Jumper. My opponent activates Terraforming, I let it go through, which is when I learned what he is playing. It's Tenpai, as he adds Sangen Summoning, which he then activates. He attempts to use its effect to pitch a card and add a card, which I Ash. My opponent normal summons Tenpai Dragon Genroku using its effect to tribute itself to special summon Tenpai Dragon Raja from deck. Then, because it was special summoned, he uses its effect to add Sangen Kaiho to hand. He then sets 2 and passes. I draw for turn and top deck Foolish Burial, which I immediately activate, sending Photon Jumper to grave. Then I use its effect to add Sanctuary to hand. I normal summon Delta Wing, use its effect to special summon another copy from deck. On res of special summon, my opponent activates Kaiho. Since I control more monsters than he does, and he controls at least one Tenpai, he immediately ends my main phase 1. So in battle phase, I attempt to attack Parada, dealing 100 damage, but my opponent changed Ghost Ogre, popping my Delta Wing since it its effect, so Parada is safe. I pass turn, my opponent draws and normal summons Dora and uses its effect to add a level 4 or lower fire dragon to hand. Then because he already controls a fire dragon monster, he special summons Tenpai Dragon Trundra from hand. He enters battle, my opponent tries to attack and activate Sangen Kaimin, but I chain Photon Jumper to the attack, ending his battle phase at the cost of my next battle phase, which means Kaimin misses timing and goes to grave. My opponent then synchros into Sengenpai Bident Dragon, then uses its effect to target one fire monster and special summon it, bringing back Genroku, then uses Genroku's effect to tribute summon itself to special summon Tenpai Fadra from deck, which he then uses its effect to special summon Chandra from graveyard. He then synchro summons into Black Winged Assault Dragon and passes turn. I draw for turn into another Photon Delta Wing. I then overlay into Galaxy Photon Dragon. And now it's time to play can I do what I plan to do without burning myself to death. So you know, the Blackwing version of the Maxi challenge in Master Duel. I detach to use Photon Dragon's effect by detaching Jumper. So it's now Chainlink 1 Photon Dragon, Chainlink 2 Photon Jumper. Assault Dragon is now at 2 counters. So I add Galaxy Expedition and Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon to hand and take 1400 burn damage. I activate Photon Sanctuary, giving myself 2 tokens. I then tribute them to bring out Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. I then activate Galaxy Expedition to bring out Afterglow Dragon from deck, making Assault have 3 counters. I then activate Galaxy 100, sending Photon Lord to grave, which then special summons himself because I control a Photon or Galaxy, bringing Assault to 5 counters. I link into Soul Flare using Galaxy Photon Dragon and Photon Lord. I don't use its effect to add back, but then once all my effects are fully resolved, I take 3500 burn damage and manage to not burn myself to death, so that's a plus. I overlay into number 62 and then C62 and pass turn, since I can't enter battle since I used Jumper last turn. My opponent draws and normal summons Dora, adding to hand Tenpai Parada, which then special summons itself to the field, which then allows Parada to add a spell or trap to hand, which he adds Kaimin to hand, and he moves into battle. He attacks with Trunda and takes no battle damage. Quick effect, I use Soul Flare's effect to pitch Delta Wing and pop Assault Dragon, still taking 700 damage in the process. He then attacks with Parada, taking no damage. He then quick effects synchro summons Sangenpai Bident Dragon, which he then attacks my Soul Flare Dragon, leaving me on only 1800 life, which he then brings another copy back from the graveyard. He then synchro summons into Sangenpai Transcendent Dragonion, I butchered that. He then special summons Parada from graveyard using its effect to add Sangen Kaiho to hand. In main phase 2, he sets the trap and special summons Fadra from grave and passes turn. So I draw for turn. I draw Ash, and then I'm told because he controls Fadra and Paradra, his monsters can't be destroyed by battle, and he takes no battle damage. I activate Galaxy 100, which was a waste as I don't really have anything I could net a plus off of by sending it to the graveyard, so I just send Thrasher. I enter battle and detach Afterglow, using C62's effect to get another copy of Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon on board in order to banish a card from my opponent's extra deck. As whilst I was shuffling, he mentioned a link play he could make if I don't kill him this turn, so I banish it, but unfortunately, with there not being enough time in the round and it only being game 1, I scoop, as even with C62 having 11,600 attack, since I couldn't really deal any damage to my opponent and I couldn't really out his board. So we go to game 2. Okay, so game 2 is a quick one because I misplayed hard and it cost me the duel. So I opt to go second once again and I draw a better going first hand. This has happened to me multiple times the last 3 weeks or so. My opponent just passes turn to me, so I draw into Crossout, which I already have one in hand, and I think I sided out the third copy, so that was fun. So I pitch Galaxy Wizard to special summon Galaxy Soldier using its effect to add to hand, but it gets ashed. But then I chain one of my Crossouts, banishing an ash from deck, adding Galaxy Knight to hand. I then equip Photon Orbital to Galaxy Soldier, and here's where I misplayed. I used Orbital's effect to pop itself and add Afterglow to hand and normal summon Galaxy Knight without tributing. The misplay was adding Afterglow, as due to Knight's effect, its attack becomes 1800. So I couldn't tribute summon to special summon Galaxy Eyes Photon Dragon. So I make Soul Flare, use its effect, and it gets Ghost Ogred, and my field is completely empty, so I pass turn. My opponent draws for turn and does some Tenpai plays, and OTKs me. Round 1 ends in a loss, but I still had fun learning what Tenpai does. Round 1 I'm paired with the branded player once again, and I lose the die roll. I do know that he isn't unbranded, and he is playing White Forest, another deck I'm unfamiliar with. My opponent chooses to go first. My opening hand is Photon Trasher, Foolish Burial, Galaxy Knight, Ash Blossom, and Galaxy 100. My opponent activates Toy Box and uses its effect to set any 2 toy monster in the spell or trap zone face down. He then attempts to activate Elzetti of the White Forest effect by sending a spell to grave. I ash. We weren't sure if by ashing it would go to the grave or stay in hand, so we asked the judge, and it stays in hand. Since the card he sent was Toy Soldier, its effect activates bringing itself back from grave. Because of Toy Box, he can add a level 4 light monster to hand, adding Rusea of the White Forest to hand. He then normal summons Elzet, and since he now controls a White Forest, he can special summon Rusea. He then synchros into Ruselia, Sinister Soul of the White Forest. He then uses her effect to send Toy Tank to graveyard to add a White Force card or spellcaster to hand. He adds Estelar to hand. Since Tank was sent from the spell trap zone, it can special summon itself back from grave. He then tributes it to special summon from hand or graveyard a monster that is level 6 or lower. He special summons a Stellar. He uses her effect to send a spell from hand to special summon a White Forest from deck. He special summons Sylvie of the White Forest. So a Chainlink forms. Chainlink 1 Sylvie, Chainlink 2 Beware the White Forest, the card he had pitched earlier. Beware resets itself and Sylvie adds a spell or trap to hand, and he adds Woes of the White Forest to hand. He then synchro summons into Infinity Doom Archfiend, I believe, and then he synchros into Ultimaya Tolkien. He then sets a card and uses Tolkien effect, which he special summons Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. He then uses Rusea's effect, returning one of the White Forest synchros to the extra deck and special summon her to the field with her effects negated, but he still attempts to activate her effect by paying the cost, sending Woes to grave. So now it's Chainlink 1 Estelar and Chainlink 2 Woes to reset itself, since it was sent to graveyard by monster effect. He then synchro summons into Muddy Mud Dragon, and then he fusions it with Tolkien to make Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. He then sets one pass. I draw for turn. I draw Photon Delta Wing. I attempt to activate Foolish Burial and he chains Woes, meaning he can special summon a White Forest from deck or hand, then immediately synchros into Diabelle, Queen of the White Forest. I continue with my play by sending Jumper to grave from Foolish Burial's effect. I then attempt to activate its effect, which gets ashed, which also turns off Dragoon, so I only have Crystal Wing to worry about. I special summon Thrasher, then I activate Galaxy 100, sending Photon Lore to graveyard, which then special summons itself from grave. I then normal summon Photon Delta Wing and attempt to use its effect, which my opponent chains Diabelle, sending Beware the White Forest to grave. He then special summons Selvaria, Wolf Tamer of the White Forest. Delta Wing resolves. Delta Wing resolves its effect, special summoning a copy from deck. On res, Chainlink 1 Selvaria, Chainlink 2 Beware the White Forest, Beware resets itself, and Selvaria Book of Moons my whole field, and so I have to pass turn. My opponent draws for turn, switches Selvaria to attack, and enters battle. Due to Selvaria's effect, his synchro monsters gain 500 extra attack and deal double piercing, summon for a load of hurt. He attacks Delta Wing, and I take 4,200 off the bat. He then attacks the other Delta Wing, and I take 3,000 to the dome. Thankfully, it's only White Force synchros that deal double piercing, so I live on 800, because he forgot Thrasher had 0 defense. In main phase 2, he sends Selvaria back to extra deck by using Rusea's effect to special summon herself from graveyard. He then sends Beware to grave to bring back Estelar, and Beware resets itself. He then synchro summons Ruselia. He then uses her effect to send Toy Box to grave and add a light spellcaster or white forest to hand. He adds effect veiler to hand and passes turn. I draw for turn and then scoop as I drew Galaxy Soldier, and I was dead next turn regardless, so we go to game 2. Game 2 I opt to go second again, and my opening hand is Nibiru, double Galaxy 100, Photon Trasher, and Infinite Impermanence. My opponent activates Toy Box setting 2, it then normal summons a Stellar and attempts to use its effect, sending a set toy monster to grave, which I negate with Imperm. Toy Soldier then special summons itself from grave, then its other effect activates, adding a level 4 light monster to hand, adding Rusea, then special summons herself since he already controls a white forest, then uses her effect to send Woes to grave and draws 1. Woes resets itself. He then synchro summons into Ruselia and mentions that he hopes that I don't have Nibiru in hand, as I joked about it in game 1. He sends Toy Tank with her effect to add a white forest to hand, then brings back Tank.
Oh, that's 5. Otherwise, I had to say, as long as there's not a nib in that.
Which makes 5 summon, and I Nibiru him, hoping that's enough to stop him. But unfortunately, it's not. He then brings back Rusea by returning Ruselia to the extra deck. He then sends Dark Ruler to the graveyard to special summon Elzette, using her effect then to add Woes to hand. He also brings back a Stellar, then he synchro summons into Muddy Muddragon, and then fusions into Albion, the branded dragon, using the Nibiru token. But that's not staying around for long, as he fusion banishing itself and Muddy Muddragon to bring out Dragoon. He sets 1 and passes. I draw Crossout and I attempt to activate Galaxy 100, but it gets ashed, and I misplay here by not using Crossout I just drew, so I pass. He draws for turn and proceeds to do the same White Force plays he's been doing, using one of his synchros to flip my nib and takes down game 2. Had I not misplayed, I don't think there was much I could have done regardless, with Dragoon on field and Toy Box preventing me from attacking, so I'm now X2 with only 1 round to go.
Okay, so there's only 3 rounds this time, because there's only really 8 players. So my last round I got paired up with someone who's still new to the game, who only had maybe one structure deck of Dark Worlds. So game 1, I did what I set out to do. I made him go first. I got C62 on field, pumped him up, and whacked him and took game 1. But then game 2, I decided to be nice and slow things down a little, So I did some stuff I could have won, easy 2-0. But I didn't want that, I didn't want that to be experienced. I wanted him to have at least some type of fun. So game 2, I done some stuff, could have won, like I said, but I gave him game 2. And then game 3 was the same issue, I didn't go to, I done my normal plays and stuff, not go for C62 power stuff. I went for Galaxy Eye's full armor Photon Dragon instead, which he got over at one point, and but eventually it led to me to winning. So my record was 1-2. So in the end, I came 5th place. Which again, even though I'm going 1 win, X amount of losses, I'm still climbing up the ladder, because it's not again. There's the first week there was 16 players. Last week there was maybe 11. This week there was 8. So yeah, I went in the first week I got 13th place. Last week I got 7th. This week I got 5th. Again depending on the players. But next week is the Rage of the Abyss sneak peek. Initially I was going to skip next week, but once I heard that it was going to be a sneak peek, I was like, fuck it, I'll just go. Now the deck, I keep on saying I need to change it, and I need to go back to basics on this one. Cut down on the hand traps in the main deck. First, keep Imperm at 3, keep Crossout at 3, and maybe just run 1 of each. For crossout purposes. And we'll see how that does. But yeah, next week I'll tinker around with that deck, or I might just go in with Ancient Gears. I don't know. I still had fun though. Going up against the 2 people that whooped my ass last week, and they whooped it again this week pretty easily. Still went, long games, like game 1 with the Tempai player. That nearly went to time. for game one. Like I think we had like 15 minutes left, so just immediately scooped to game two. As I said in the voiceover, we probably could have went to game three, but I messed up in my play. So yeah, that is going to wrap this video up. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this vlog. A little more vloggy than normal because I'm by myself, and when I'm with my friends, I don't tend to vlog as much, but when I'm by myself, I tend to vlog a little bit more. So I hope you enjoyed that aspect of it. So once again, I'll be going to reroll next week, and yeah, we'll see how things go for the Rage of the Abyss sneak peek. I'll catch you all on the next upload.